Hey, Rob Pittman here to teach you guys some more about AP Human Geography and our introduction to maps. We're going to be focusing on identifying types of maps, information that we can have on them. So first off, this is in your notes, you're writing this down. 3 types of maps. One type of specific map, 3 ways to look at it. Reference map, general stuff. Political, physical, road. Political maps. The counties of Iowa, right? All the provinces of Canada. Physical maps, topographic ones, ones that show mountain ranges, all of those things. Roads, Rand McNally Atlas, when you guys are taking a road trip with your mom or dad. Heck, your phone, that's a good example of a road map. Second type, we got thematic maps. Do not write these down. No. We're going to go over them all in depth. We got choropleth, dot, graduated, cartogram, isoline. We are going to be making a cartogram on Monday. All right, so choropleth maps, they use colors and then have different values for each colors to show what it does. Years of schooling that you guys can see on this map. Dark blue, 14 years. You're going to college, right? U.S., Canada, a little bit of Peru, a lot of Western Europe. Interesting, France isn't there, Some places where there's not a lot, 2 years. Places in Africa, very, very poor areas. Dot density. This shows a lot of distribution, all right? How in depth the dot is in that area. Gun violence in Cincinnati, depending on the scale. Maps have to do a lot with scale. Graduated. These have dots or symbols, but it depends on the size of the circle. If you look at this one here, these are foreign-born groups in different areas, right? So it gives the type, which is addressed to the color, and then how they are. If you look at Iowa, we got mostly Western Europe, kind of right here in West Des Moines. Why that is, we had a whole bunch of Bosnians and Serbians who migrated. And if when the map is bigger, Waterloo also has that same kind of area too. And you can see just how it all spreads out and shows the the type of people that come there. We have Latin American one. Bottom of Florida. You had a guy by the name of Fidel Castro, who was a communist leader of Cuba. They all migrated to Florida. That's why they are there. Now we got a cartogram. These are kind of neat. So what they do is they take the actual physical area, give it a piece of data, and then that translates into the new size of the map. So this map tells us a story. If you look here, you got Nigeria, which is kind of small, but if you give in the data of the population of Africa and you put in Nigeria, you all of a sudden see Nigeria has this huge impact on that one piece of data. We're going to make a cartogram for the world where we look at population as the start, and then we're going to add to it, we're doing physical area, but then we're going to do to it the number of COVID deaths in the world at that time, right now. Here's another way to look at world population. What are our biggest ones? India and China. And that's roughly right. It's a little bit bigger now, and see just how does it look? We got so much of the world in these 2 countries. How does that compare to, Central America, right? Mexico down to Panama. We also got isoline maps. These maps connect the same points by a line. Easy way to look at it, temperature. All right, those are isoline maps. You could also have you could do the distribution of Starbucks. What kind of map would that make? Just making a line and say Seattle, Washington, the number of Starbucks, connecting all of those points. Topographic maps, these show elevation, up and down. The closer the lines are together, the more steep it is. In the scale, it tells you the size that it has on it. Types of spatial patterns that are on map. I'm going to show you guys are going to watch a Fortnite video that talks about the 5 themes of geography. The biggest, one of the first themes is location. We got 2 types, absolute and relative. Absolute is longitude and latitude. All right, you guys know those. Lats go horizontal, longitude goes long, up and down. It's exact, it's precise. Then you got relative, all right? If you guys know where I live over by the middle school, right? So I'd say, hey, I live east of the big parking lot at the middle school, all right? That's an easy way to describe relative. It's always in relation to something else. You also have distance, okay? Distance can be an exact number, right? But it can also be a spatial interaction. So spatial interaction, connection, contacts, movements. Relative different distance can also come down to like the time that it has to get there from one spot to another. You got relative direction, right? That's relationships. You know, how do I get home? I head straight out of the parking lot. I take a left at the first street. I take an immediate right at the next street. I go past 4th Avenue, take a left at 5th. Absolute direction, that's precise. You know, that's a point on the compass. You're going to go head north by northwest, and then you got to go that way. Now, spatial patterns, and for geography, we deal with space, and that's spatial, you know. We have 3 different things to think about. We got clustering, if it's together, dispersal, how far apart it is, and then if there's any patterns that we see. If you go down to Waterloo, Cedar Falls, and you drive down University, there's a dispersal pattern, right? And there's a how it goes. Because as I drive along, I'm going to have Hy-Vee on one side, I'm going to have a restaurant on another. I'm going to have a fast food chain, I'm going to have a fast food chain on the other. And then if I go over to San Martin in Waterloo, you pass that, there's a Hy-Vee on the right. Wow. There's a food chain on the left. You know, there's a gas station on the right, then there's another food chain in another spot. So it kind of goes all the way around. All right, maps distort and don't tell us the truth. I'll show you a picture just to like make an emphasis on that. So maps distort spatial relationships. Map projections, we try to get them to be the best that they are, but they're selective. Think about it this way. When we look at a map, we are always on the top. When people in the southern hemisphere look at the map, they are always on the bottom. All right? So sometimes people have made maps where they flip everything around and it changes perspective. If you look at the 2 examples of maps from here to here, you know, how can you take this Earth and then you jam it off over into this side? Here's an acronym if you want to use it. I don't necessarily like it. Map projections are sad because they change the shape, area, distance, and direction. One of our biggest map projections, I want you to get this down, is the Mercator one. This is kind of like the one that we all kind of basically follow. Advantages, the direction is right, shapes are right, navigation is good. It preserves the right angles of latitude and longitude for when you are, say, navigating in the sea. It's important. It's distorted, though, at the poles. If you think about Antarctica, it's not that huge. And it also increases the size of high latitude areas. If you think about that, you know, that makes northern hemisphere and the northern part of that bigger, which is kind of our hemisphere. You got Peters, which is this equal area distribution. The land masses are way more accurate. Repositions in many of the countries to the right size. The shapes, though, they're inaccurate between the poles. Look at that one. That's distorted, but the middle's better. Look at this one. The middle's off, or the tops are off, and that middle is better. And then it's vertically stretched. Here's an overlay of the 2 maps, and you can see how off it is. We got Mercator's, and then we got the green one is the Peters. Here's one of the best ways to look at it, and this is something that when I started studying geography in high school and in college, I was like, wow, this is nuts. If we look at the Mercator one, Greenland is as big as Africa. When we think about the actual size, this is what it is. Does this distort how people think about stuff? Well, I'm pretty sure nobody ever bought or sold a slave in Greenland, but I'm pretty sure it happened in Africa. And by minimizing certain areas, it leads to different ideas and trends. We also got the Robinson. What's good about this, one, you can tell that they made it curved, and then they gave the top and the bottom, they flattened that out, so it's a little closer. It's a compromise, all right? Only disadvantage, it's all a little bit distorted. Here's some other examples that we got. They got this chunky one here. This is conic, and it's actually like a cone going up. You got this azimuthal, and then you got the fuller one, which just looks like a Jenga game or something. One way to look at it is, they're all selective, all right? They distort the Earth. And you can say the world is a cat playing with Australia, which I've never ever really thought about, but it is. Hope you guys understood this. If you have any questions, you email me. Remember, this is just an introduction, kind of getting you familiar with some of the terms and the things that we're going to be looking at. Have a good one.